There's a classic quote that sums up beyond this earthly realm nicely. There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. This quote is a good place to start because Finn spends this episode discovering there is more to his world than he ever dreamed.
Can you see beyond the known dimensions of time and space? Into the unknown?
The basic premise of this episode is that Finn touches a lamb statue that catapults his spirit outside of his body. Unfortunately, Ice King is the only one who can see him, apart from the creepy spirit beings of the ghostly realm Finn is inhabiting. Ice King promises to return him to the earthly realm, as long as he does a few supernatural chores, mostly involving chasing creepy spirits out of Ice King's palace. Turns out Ice King is just stringing Finn along in the hopes that Finn will become his friend just by virtue of being stuck with him. But when Finn threatens to let all the spirits back into Ice King's palace, Ice King agrees to help Finn by smashing the statue. Frankly, it seems like the spirits will probably find their way back to Ice King's palace anyway, so I guess it's Ice King's impulsive nature that leads him to give in so easily. Anyway, Ice King heads off with Finn to smash the statue and bring Finn back. It goes horribly wrong, and Ice King ends up touching the cursed statue and is trapped in the spirit plane with Finn. However, when Ice King slumps down in despair, Finn sees the Ice King's movements affect the static on TV. Together, the pair use their subtle spirit plane influence to summon up a breeze that knocks the statue to the ground and frees them. On the surface, this is a wacky and goofy story where Finn, trapped as a disembodied spirit, has a surreal adventure with the Ice King. But there is darker subtext to the story that makes it one of my all-time favorite Adventure Time episodes, and that darker subtext focused around the Ice King is what I'll focus on here. Let's briefly run through Ice King's main problems in this episode. 1. He is desperately lonely despite being surrounded by companions. 2. He is constantly harassed by spirit beings that basically no one else can see. 3. He is, not to put too fine a point on it, one scoop short of an ice cream sundae. His loneliness, despite his constant feathered company in the form of Gunther and the other penguins, indicates that having just one more guy around him, like Finn, isn't going to solve anything. This is a guy who chronically kidnaps princesses because he craves romance, hoping it will fix the emptiness inside him. To appeal directly to the show's established explanation, the crown robs him of his sanity, and in this episode we see how helpless he is in the face of that madness. The spirits constantly harassing the Ice King reveal how ugly and unpleasant his world is, in ways that no one else around him can see, until Finn fell afoul of the curse that is. Now, just for a moment, try to put yourself in the Ice King's shoes, setting aside any nausea that may induce. Every morning, Ice King wakes up, has breakfast, and tries to chill with his penguin pals. According to this episode, all the while he's being tormented by malicious, perverse spirits no one else can see. Poor guy is helpless in the face of this endless harassment. This is not to say he's a great fellow or that we should all like him. His past is full of nefarious deeds. We can acknowledge that iniquitous past while at the same time acknowledging Ice King's own misfortune. The European philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche compares the pleasure of a well-told, tragic story with the pleasure a music lover may experience when hearing musical dissonance. Both tragic tales and discordant music can lead us to enjoy aesthetically the sting of displeasure. Tragic characters are defined by the displeasure or dysfunction that is at the heart of their stories. That brings us back to the quote I started with, which is from Hamlet, in full, "There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy." In context, Hamlet and his friend Horatio have seen the vengeful ghost of Hamlet's father. To Horatio, the ghost provides a dreadful shock, but to Hamlet it provides proof, confirming his suspicions about the twisted murder of his father. The problem is that Hamlet is torn about what to actually do with this information. His world is chaotic and unfair, and nothing he does will fix that. According to Nietzsche, men like Hamlet are trapped. Their action can change nothing in the eternal essence of things. They consider it ludicrous or shameful that they should be expected to restore order to the chaotic world. In Beyond This Earthly Realm, the Ice King desperately wants to connect with the people around him, like Finn, but nothing he does will make Finn his best friend. Certainly nothing he does in this episode will restore his sanity. The spirits infesting his home can be seen as a metaphor, the demons haunting him that can only be kept at bay, as they can always find their way back to him. Anyway, it's admirable that Ice King keeps trying to improve himself despite the factors outside his control that make his struggle a doomed one, at least for this episode. Finn sees the hellish experience Ice King lives with every day, but at this point, he is quite desensitized to Ice King's weirdness, so I don't think this changed his view of Ice King much, if at all. Finn's view of Ice King changes very slowly over time. I think the reason this story has stuck with me is because it has two very different perspectives. We start the story with Finn, and from his perspective the story involves a huge inconvenience that leads to another one of his goofy over-the-top adventures. But if we look at the story's other focus character, Ice King, it's not a story about inconvenience. It shows us how Ice King cannot rise above the bleak circumstances he's fallen into, and that's not exactly over the top, rather it's dark and sad. That wraps up my thoughts about Beyond This Earthly Realm. If you enjoyed this video, you can help this channel by liking and subscribing. Thank you very much to those of you who have subscribed already. Have a great week and thank you for watching.
Into the unknown.